What have you done, Kingsisle? Um, you, um, now muted players cannot PvP. They can't do pet derby. They can't do none of that stuff. All because you had to put that new restriction thing or whatever onto the muted players' accounts. I mean, what have you done? You've made a horrible mistake by putting that restriction or whatever on muted players' accounts so they can't PvP, so they can't pet derby, they can't do none of that stuff. All because you decided to play you decided to play favorites with people. You decided that that you decided that muted players cannot cannot do PvP. They can't do pet derby. You can't do pet derby. They can't do none of that stuff. All because you had to put those restrictions up on muted players' accounts. And now, um, and now that people's accounts have been muted, they can't PvP. They can't do pet derby. They can't do none of that stuff. I mean, you have made a horrible mistake. No, what I meant to say was, you've made a horrible mistake by putting those restrictions up on 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 um on 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 muted players' accounts. How do you expect your game to succeed if you keep muting players? You can't expect your game to succeed if you keep if you keep muting players and you keep um and you keep muting and you keep muting their accounts. Another thing is people are going to get frustrated, Kingsisle. And as much as I hate to say it is true. You can't expect people not to get frustrated with certain things that's going on in the game. You can't expect people not to get angry over stuff that's happening in the game. People are going to get angry. People are going to get upset. People are going to get frustrated. Um, if I mean, people are going to get angry, frustrated, upset if if um, if they don't like the way things are going in the game. You can't expect people not to get frustrated. You can't expect people not to get upset whether they're playing Pirate 101 um, yeah, or Wizard 101. You can't expect people not to get angry. You can't expect people not to get upset. You can't expect people not to get frustrated. People are going to feel frustrated. People are going to feel angry. People are going to feel upset. You can't expect people not. You can't expect people not to do that. I mean, you have made a terrible mistake by putting those restrictions on people on muted on muted players' accounts. And that now that their accounts are muted, they cannot PvP. They cannot do pet derby. They can't do none of they can't do none they can't do none of that stuff. All they have left to do is all they have left to do is questing. Um, all they have left to do is questing, gardening, um, visiting the different homes in the 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 castle thing or whatever. Um, and and just trying to hatch and just trying to hatch new pets and trying to create and trying to create new pets. I don't know what I don't know what you have done, but in some way, shape, or form, you kind of created a monster. And yes, you heard right. You kind of created a monster. You can't expect people to play. You can't expect people to play your game if they're going to keep getting muted, and you can't expect people to play your game if they're going to keep getting muted over over stuff. Um, you know, you can't expect people to play a game if you're going to keep muting them, um, or if you're going to keep if if you're going to keep muting muting their accounts. And as long as people's accounts are muted, they can't PvP, they can't do pet derby, they can't do none of that stuff. All they can do is quest and do hatches and gardening and fishing. That's all they can do. Oh, and do the and get the and go to the castle or house thing or whatever. I mean that's all they can do. They can't PvP. They can't do pet derby. They can't do none of that stuff. Um, and how do you expect your game to succeed if you're going to keep muting people over stuff that was over stuff that has been said like a long time ago or a certain amount of years, a certain amount of days, or a certain amount of months. You've made a bad mistake, Kingsisle. And and another thing, numerous people, including myself, have asked y'all nicely to unmute to get their to get their to get their accounts unmuted. And what do? You tell them no. You you tell them no. I don't know what to say about y'all, but as I said, you have made a big mistake. In other words, you have created a monster.